On a freezing gray January afternoon in Kenosha, Wisconsin, 18-year-old Jamal, whose real name was later sealed by the courts, stood outside a small corner store on Main and 14th Street with a plan that seemed simple in his mind. Money problems, pressure from life, and the fear of becoming a young father had been building inside him for months. His girlfriend was pregnant, work hours had been cut, and the responsibility of adulthood felt like it had arrived too fast. A friend convinced him the convenience store would be an easy target. Walk in, scare the clerk, grab the cash, and leave in under a minute. Wearing cheap black hoodies and thin ski masks bought from Walmart, the two teenagers tried to look confident as they pushed through the store door at exactly 4:35 p.m. Inside, the clerk, Mike, a man who had worked that same register since his own teenage years, looked up to see the masked figures rushing toward the counter. "Open the drawer," one of them shouted, expecting fear and compliance. Instead, Mike stared at them calmly and refused with a blunt, "Hell no." That single moment shattered their entire plan. Panicking, Jamal pulled out a small can of pepper spray and blasted it across the counter. The burning spray hit Mike full in the face, but instead of backing down, the clerk swung blindly in defense. His fist connected hard with Jamal's partner, knocking him backward into a rack of chips and sending snacks flying across the floor. Jamal fired the spray again, but in the chaos he accidentally sprayed his own friend too. Within seconds the store filled with coughing, shouting, and confusion. Shelves crashed, feet slipped on scattered candy bars, and the robbery that was supposed to last 30 seconds turned into complete disaster. Both teenagers ran from the store coughing and half-blind, ripping their masks halfway off as they burst into the cold air. Behind them, Mike stumbled outside with swollen eyes and burning skin, shouting for help as blood trickled from a small cut on his face. A bystander quickly called emergency services, and the police dispatcher immediately sent nearby patrol units racing toward the scene. Sirens began echoing through the winter streets. Jamal and his friends sprinted in different directions, but adrenaline only carried Jamal a couple of blocks before his body started to give out. His lungs burned, his eyes watered from the pepper spray drifting through the air, and the reality of what he had just done began crashing down on him all at once. As he stood there trying to catch his breath, a patrol car turned the corner and slowed beside him. The officer inside saw a young man in a black hoodie sweating and pacing nervously in the freezing weather, an obvious sign something wasn't right. Instead of yelling, the officer stepped out calmly and spoke in a steady voice. "Hey brother, stop right there. Let me see your hands." Jamal froze. For a moment he considered running again, but his legs felt heavy and his mind felt empty. The pepper spray can slipped from his hand and clattered onto the pavement. "I'm sorry," he whispered quietly. The officer placed him in handcuffs without resistance, guiding him into the back of the cruiser as Jamal's emotions finally collapsed into tears. He kicked the seat once in frustration before breaking down completely, sobbing and repeating the same words over and over. "I got a baby on the way. I love you, Mama. I'm sorry." At the police station, the consequences of those 90 chaotic seconds began to unfold. Officers washed the pepper spray from Jamal's eyes while investigators reviewed the store's security footage, which clearly showed the entire robbery attempt from start to finish. About an hour later, Jamal's mother arrived at the station, her face pale and worried. She told officers she had received strange text messages from her son earlier and felt something was wrong, so she had driven over to check on him. An officer explained that Jamal was safe but that the situation was serious. Felony robbery, battery, use of pepper spray causing injury, and resisting arrest were all potential charges. The entire incident had been recorded on camera. Hearing this, Jamal's mother quietly broke down in tears, the kind of silent crying that comes from deep disappointment and fear for a child's future. Meanwhile, Jamal sat alone in a holding cell staring at the blank concrete wall, the adrenaline gone and the reality setting in. The quick money he thought would solve his problems had vanished, replaced by court dates, legal consequences, and a criminal record that could follow him for years. Across town, Mike sat at home with ice pressed against his swollen face, still angry and still in pain but grateful to be alive after the violent encounter. What began as a desperate idea between two teenagers had unraveled in less than 2 minutes. One bad decision, 90 seconds of chaos, and a young life suddenly redirected toward a very different future. Because sometimes it only takes a single moment for everything to change.